I also wanted to touch on two other topics, the first of which is the concept of lunatics. Now, you're dealing with millions of dollars in transactions every day. On a weekly basis, hundreds of millions of dollars are being wiped out. By Sunday, we'll be at the top of the burners list again. So this is basically going to be a burner where you can watch how much volume is flowing through here. Eventually, the number might rise to 100 million, 200 million, or perhaps a billion. We are clueless, right? It looks like that's a burner. And there's also the 1.2% burn, which is another. In spite of the fact that this is a separate idea, I believe that the 1.2% burn should be applied to all volume, regardless of whether it is traded on an exchange or not, right? In the end, what we care about is that lunatic supply is reduced by 1.2%, because their impact on supply burns is directly proportional to their volume. These two can inflict significant harm. We could see a lot of burns if the volume is much higher. Does the price go up, or do people sell it if volume is higher? Some of those high-volume days, we may see high-volume selling days where the price really gets negatively impacted, which positively influences the burn, because a fixed percentage of the volume is used to burn off lunatic, regardless of how much money is spent. Isn't it the same with the lunatics token? It's time to dive into this possible spreadsheet because I made a mistake, and I wanted to correct it. That's all there is to it at this point. Lunati is the finished product. Regardless of what the current rate is or what we think it will be, we have the burn tax in place at that rate. Things like Lunati and the Lunati burn tax, right? Lunati can be expected to do this. With only $3 billion being burned each month, it may not have a big influence, according to what we've seen so far, right? If you like, you can use either the total technique or the burn method. Total Luna supply and monthly Luna use are provided. You know how many months there are and how many years there are. It's all laid bare. Lunati has a total supply of 6.9 trillion servings. That's all going to remain the same. Of course, on CoinMarketCap, I ripped off this information. So, it's good news. The bad news is that we're losing $3 billion as a result. Just 2,300 months would be required to see this through. This would take place after 191 years. That is, of course, based on present trends. Lunati is clearly in its infancy. As much as 100 million cups of Lunati may be sold each day. And if we have a volume of 100 million each day, it amounts to $2 million per day. That would contribute to the flames. Then, if we can flip it up and claim that it does reach 100 million volume per day, we can bring this up. After that, we'll take 2% of 100 million and multiply it by the price we calculated before. As a result, 100 million. If everything went according to plan, it would cost $612 billion every month, take 11 months to complete, and result in a total of $94. Sorry, 1 year. In other words, double-check your calculations if you think you can burn through $612 billion every month, at a rate of almost $612 billion each month. Yay! That, of course, would work. That'd be a great idea. 100 trillion. Our total number of zeros. I'm short 3 zeros in my bank account. 3 octaves. 2 o'clock. Yes? As a result, multiplying 100 million by 2% yields the desired result of 20 million. Right? As a result, there are 20. That is incorrect. Using this formula, you get $2 million. Then you'd multiply or divide that by the cost of lunch and multiply it by 30 or 31 days, depending on your preference. Consequently, Lunati has a capacity of 612 billion and can be consumed over a period of 11 months. Now, if we also seen 300 million that goes through here. In terms of volume, 300 million is multiplied by 1.2%. That's the answer. That would net you somewhere in the neighborhood of $3 million, right? A sliver of the 300 million you're getting is yours. With the 2% or 0.2%, you're looking at somewhere between 3 million and 5 million people. If you multiply the price by 30 days, you get the price you see here. You see a total of $1.1 trillion discarded. 6 months or a half a year is how long it would take. So it's possible that these things will take off in the next year. Both of them could see a big difference in a year based on these forecasts. So long as Lunati and Lunatic each generate $100 million in burn tax volume as the case. Now, it's more than that. We've seen this number fluctuate between $1 billion and $1 billion. At $1 billion, how much longer will it take? In other words, if things go according to plan, we'll only have to wait 1 month. A month or perhaps 2 months may be required for things to play out correctly if we look at the volume of $1 billion for 30 days. That's why I say it could take a long time, or it could go extremely quickly, depending on the amount of data being processed. So, this is the point at which things get out of hand. When you look at the volume, imagine it reaching the $10 billion volume in a single day that 8coin had at debut.